Hello, this is Charles Scoville, your Golden Harvest agronomist with your Agronomy in Action Focus Friday here on October the 11th. So, welcome to the 25th and final episode of this podcast for the 2024 growing season. It has been a great year, and boy, our current yields are proof that rain makes grain. Now, it was also proof that too much rain makes for drowned out spots in fields and losses of nitrogen and sulfur in our soil profiles. But this week, I just want to share a few last field observations and then take some time to do a quick 2024 season in review. So let's get started. Now, this week, each year, this is that time of the year where I get a chance to walk our stage 6 corn hybrids. Now, these are the hybrids that are in their last year of experimental testing, and if they perform again this year in our research trials, they've got a chance of becoming a commercially available corn hybrid. These decisions will be finalized in November and shared with our sales teams this next winter, and that's all in preparation for placing then those new hybrids into our local farmer test plots next spring. Now, this is really an exciting time of the year for me because as an agronomist, kind of like Christmas Eve, I get to shake the presents and try to guess what's inside. Now, what really means is that I get to peel back the husks of these ears, count the rows around. I look at things like potential test weight and grain quality, some tar spot tolerances and plant health, and of course, that all-important push test. Now, in doing these push tests, I have found a full range of tolerances. Some of these experimental hybrids they're still standing strong, while others are failing this test miserably with maybe 10 out of 10 plants falling down. So this is also why it is so important for you to be out in your own fields doing push tests right now. Now, I know it's only the middle of October, but this crop thinks it's November, and I've already had one call of a farmer who planted corn early this year, and he was harvesting with a moisture of 13%. Now, he was concerned that he was seeing some stalk lodging, but that's probably not unexpected for corn that dry. So I know that the elevators are filling up quickly, and I know rail cars are being held up down south due to the hurricanes. But let's do what we can to keep this crop from getting ahead of us this year. Now, speaking of stalk lodging, if you do find some plants pushing over, let's not stop there. Let's take the time to investigate the cause of that lodging. Now, for the most part, when I've taken my knife and split open those lodged stalks, what I'm finding is kind of hollowed out stalks near the soil surface. Now, these plants, they've simply cannibalized themselves and pulled all the energy out of the stalks to finish those ears. In many cases, it's because they ran out of nitrogen and sulfur earlier in the season because we simply washed those nutrients out of the root zone. And, it was then easier for the plant to pull from the stalk than it was to try to mine that out of that soil profile. But, it could also be disease, so let's look for discoloration inside the pith of that stalk to indicate certain diseases. Red might indicate gibberella, browns might indicate fusarium or anthracnose stalk rot, and then there's still other diseases like pythium, diplodia, charcoal rot that all could be causing stalk lodging in a given year. So if you do have some lodging and you need some help identifying the problem, just give me a call. Now, doing a final review of 2024, all I can say is for the most part, it's been one for the record books when it comes to yield. Now, we did suffer some drought, of course, in that southeast part of the state, but most of us had rain pretty consistently throughout the majority of the growing season. And though it's been dry for quite a while lately, the majority of our crop was made under ideal heat and moisture conditions. Now, in this episode, number 1, we started that back in April the 19th, and we discussed things like how do we make that decision for when to plant. Some folks were able to get some things planted in April, but most of us ended up waiting until about that second week of May. And then, of course, some folks got too much rain at times that caused a lot of drowned out spots in the fields, but On this podcast, I was excited. We had a lot of great guest speakers that joined us this past year. They talked about things from nitrogen management to tar spot management, and of course, a lot of topics in between. We tracked heat units as we really remained 3 to 5 days ahead of the 5-year average and, wow, about 2.5 weeks ahead of the year in 2023. We found fields with white mold and spider mites, which for me is the first time to find both these in the same field in a growing season. Just crazy. But northern corn leaf blight and tar spot, boy, they were found early, and they didn't seem really to take hold until later in the growing season this year. And then, of course, we started the harvest of wheat, silage, and soybeans, and even dry corn all ahead of normal. Most of it, being done kind of in short sleeve shirts, and that was really nice. But of course, now we're playing with frost and cooler weather, and it's probably okay because it is that time of the year. The dry weather has been a blessing for getting harvest moving, and it's even given us a chance to plant what I might expect to be record levels of wheat acres this year, and then start some fall tillage. And of course, we don't get a very often get a fall this nice and warm and dry. So let's count our blessings out there while we have them. Now, speaking of blessing, it is only appropriate that we take a minute to remind us all of safety this time of the year. The reality is safety doesn't just happen. We have to make it happen. Please take the time to shut down equipment before working on it. Watch for those pinch points and keep safety shields in place. We all know of somebody out there that just wasn't so lucky and ended up paying the ultimate price for taking some shortcuts in safety to just get things done a little more quickly. So be safe, keep your family safe, our employees safe out there as well. And with that, I will wrap up my podcast for 2024. I thank you for listening and hope it's been worth your time. I look forward to starting this podcast back up next spring, and who knows, I might even put together a few bonus sessions over the winter. I hope you had a great week and plans for an even better week ahead. This is Charles Scoville, your Golden Harvest Michigan agronomist, with your Agronomy in Action Focus Friday. Have a great weekend and a great next year.